Hello everyone, this is Rick and welcome to Astral Club. This is Astral Projection through Mirrors. Before I get into it, just want to mention Patreon. If you'd like to join those supporting the work of Astral Club, you'll find a link in the description to Patreon. When you join, you have access to about 60 or 70 episodes right now that I've downloaded. I do about 10 every week. And you can download those episodes onto any podcast app, and so you can listen to it anywhere, even when you don't have access to YouTube or the internet. There's no commercials, and there's an email where we can talk back and forth on Patreon. And of course, you get your advanced videos on Sunday. Next up, playlists. I have a number of playlists. I'll leave a link in the description to the Astral Club playlist, which lists all the episodes in order. But there's also plenty of other ones too, like Space and Time and Time Travel and Astral Guide School. So there are people, if you're interested in certain specific types of episodes, you can access them very easily through the Astral Club playlists. So what do I mean by using a mirror to help astral projection? Well, I'm not going to get into some of the exercises that I've seen some other astral projectors post, where they ask you to try to look at yourself when you're in the astral or try to go through the mirror. I have questionable feelings about those types of exercises. No, instead, I'm going to offer you an exercise which I experimented with many years ago when I got the book, The Projection of the Astral Body by Sylvan Muldoon. It's a fascinating book, and he's one of the authors that when I read his writing, I know 100% that this is a man who knows what he's talking about, that he has astral projected. Anyone who's astral projected extensively, when you read a book from somebody who claims to have astral projected, there's little things in there that only somebody who's astral projected would be able to notice and confirm, rather than someone who just kind of read up on the topic. So this guy really knew what he was talking about. Now, I read his book after Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe, but Monroe's book was published in about 72. This book was published in London in the late 1920s. So he was doing this quite a bit before, Monroe. So I find that he's got a lot of very good common sense type astral advice. He doesn't get into a lot of the other materials that Monroe gets into about the different planes of existence, and his astral projections are very practical and very, if I may use the word, grounded. So it can be very instructive for people, especially if you're in the early stages of astral projection or you'd like to project but haven't done so yet. So what I'd like to do is review this portion of the book. And it's under the section of developing a consciousness of the self. So Muldoon says, in order to be a successful projector, you should center your mind upon yourself. Study yourself. Get inquisitive about yourself. Try to know yourself. In astral projection, a consciousness of self is highly important. So begin to study yourself. Here is an exercise which I believe, i.e. Sylvan Muldoon, has brought him results. And you'll find it is invaluable as an aid to astral projection. He says, place a chair before a mirror. I guess probably the full-length ones. See, when I did this, I had a full-length mirror that was on the back of my door. So it was easy just to it was in my bedroom. So it was easy just to kind of slide a chair. But hopefully you have something like that. Place a chair before a mirror. For you are now about to try to bewilder yourself with yourself, or confuse yourself with yourself. I love 100-year-old English sometimes. In this exercise, you are to study yourself so intensely that you almost go to sleep while doing so, and then lose your understanding of which is the real you. I want to do a cautionary note right here. To do this exercise, you should not be currently suffering from any psychological disease. Because if, for instance, you've been diagnosed with something like schizophrenia, then I definitely would not recommend you do this exercise. But assuming that you have no psychological illness, this exercise is perfectly fine. Let me go on. So in this exercise, you are studying yourself very intensely, and you almost go to sleep, but you don't. Eventually, you lose your understanding. If you stare at this mirror long enough, you lose your understanding of which is the real you. Is the real you that which is sitting in the chair? Or is it that doppelganger, that duplicate, that mirror image is the real you? That's what we're trying to accomplish here, which is why I said, if you're suffering psychologically, don't do this exercise. He goes on, I am assuming that you are now comfortably seated in an armchair facing your reflection in the mirror. Do not think of the mirror and do not believe that you are looking at a reflection. Try rather to convince yourself that you actually are where the reflection is, that you are not in your real body at all. Now begin to examine yourself carefully, trying to find things about yourself which you never recognized before. You'll be surprised. You think you know yourself, but you'll find all kinds of little things that you never really noticed about yourself because you never really stared in the mirror long enough to really pay attention. So you may find a couple of things that you didn't know, like, oh, there's a whisker there I didn't know about. See the true color of your hair, the true expression of your eyes, the true shape of your nose. See that cheekbone, those few whiskers on your chin, the lumps on your forehead, the little ridges around your nose. Yes, there is enough to keep you busy looking and studying yourself for some time, so keep it up. Now that you have given yourself a concentrated examination, stand up in front of the mirror and look directly into your eyes. Keep your eyes centered on the eyes in the reflection. Blink when you are inclined to, but keep your eyes on the eyes in the mirror. Are you growing unsteady now? Are you swaying slightly from side to side? This is what you should do. Now, sit down again in the chair and gaze directly into the eyes in the mirror, keeping your stare concentrated upon those eyes. As you do this, repeat your own name over and over, distinctly and monotonously. I think when you're doing this, you're probably putting yourself into a light hypnotic state. I mean, you're probably already at this point in a light hypnotic state. The monotonous repeating of your name would just really emphasize or encourage that hypnotic effect. He goes on, this has a very subtle effect upon your mind. If after a while your eyes seem to be getting dim or misty, do not let this distract your attention, but keep everlastingly gazing into your own eyes. In your mind, you are to believe that the reflection in the mirror is the real you. You are not to remember the fact that you are sitting in the chair. Believe only that the real you is the reflection in the mirror. You are seeing yourself, but the real you is in the mirror. Try to go to sleep with this thought in mind and with your eyes centered upon the eyes in the mirror. This delusion of self rattles, as he says, the astral body, for it puts the idea in the subconscious mind that the reflection is the real you. And after you go to sleep, the suggestion to the effect is often strong enough to, as he says, possess the subconscious will to move the astral body over to the place where the innate mind thinks you really are. That's the basic exercise. He goes on a little bit more, but I'm going to keep this one simple and short. Essentially, what you're doing here is you are shifting your consciousness away from the idea that you are and that you exist solely within your physical body. By using this type of exercise, you are adjusting to the fact that you can be in another space, in this case, the mirror. It helps to bolster that belief because you can believe your own eyes. There you are, looking back at you. You're not in your body, you're there in the mirror. This can sink into the subconscious. And I know I used it once or twice, and it did work for me. And perhaps it'll work for you. I'd be very much interested in the results. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that bell is solid so that you know when the new episodes are posted. And I'm very much interested in your questions or comments. Or if you do the exercise, let me know how it went. And as always, this is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.